How to speak English. Better, have you ever felt lost when you try to speak English? Maybe you wanted to say something, but you did not know the right words. It was hard to make your ideas clear, or perhaps you heard a person speak English very fast. It was difficult for you to follow the conversation. You felt lost and confused. Don't worry about this. It happens to many people who learn English. Even people who know a lot of English can feel this way. But if you practice in the right way, you can learn to speak easily in these moments. You will feel good about your English. 1. Tell personal stories. Let's first talk about telling stories. This is a great way to talk. When you share something personal that happened to you, the conversation stays interesting. People want to listen to you. Do not just say a simple rule like, managing your time is important. That is a little boring. Instead, you can tell a real example. You can say, last month I had a very big project at my job. First, I felt too stressed. I did not know where to start. Then you can add, but I made a list of all the small things I had to do. I focused on the 2 or 3 most important things first, and I finished the whole project on time. It felt so good. This kind of story shows your idea clearly. It helps the other person understand your point easily because they can imagine it. 2. Use better words. You can also use some new words to make your English sound more natural. This means your English will be more like a native speaker's English. For example, do not always say, I am very happy. You can try saying, I am thrilled. Another example, do not always say, it is hard. You can say, it is challenging. These words are more interesting for the listener. They also help you sound more confident when you speak. 3. Disagree nicely. Sometimes you need to say no or disagree with someone's idea. It is very important to be polite. You must not sound rude. You can say, I see your point, but I think differently. This shows you understand their idea first. Or you can say, that is a good idea, but did you think about it from this other side? In this way, you can share your opinion easily. The person will feel respected. 4. Ask simple questions. Here is a helpful tip. Always ask questions when you do not understand something, or ask if you want to know more. This is a good way to learn new things. For example, if your friend talks about a book or movie you do not know, ask about it. You can say, that sounds interesting. Can you tell me a little more about it? This simple question shows you are curious. It keeps the conversation going. 5. Use linking words. We need to talk about transition words. These are words that connect your ideas. They help your speech flow from one topic to the next smoothly. For example, you are talking about traveling. Now you want to talk about food. You can say, speaking of travel, one thing I really love to do is try different foods. These linking words help your speech sound connected. It is much easier to listen to you. 6. Focus on pronunciation. Good pronunciation is also very important. Try to stress the important words in a sentence. Stressing means you say the word louder or longer. For example, you say, I really enjoyed the concert last night. Put stress on the word really and the word concert. This helps you show your excitement to the listener. These small changes make your speaking more interesting. 7. Do not rush. Do not be afraid to pause when you talk. A pause is a short stop. Pauses give the other person time to think about what you just said. For example, you say, the hardest part of learning English is staying motivated. Then, stop for 1 second before you explain why. This small pause makes your idea clearer and more powerful. 8. Listen actively. Let's practice active listening. When a friend tells you an idea, repeat the idea in your own words. This shows your friend that you truly understand. For example, your friend says, I think working from home helps me be more productive. You can answer, so, you believe that working at home means you can get more done? This shows you respect their opinion. It helps the conversation move forward nicely. 9. Discuss big topics. Finally, it is good to practice talking about deeper topics. For example, you can talk about what does success mean to you? Or how is technology changing our lives? These conversations make you use more words. They also help you organize your ideas very clearly. Remember, every small step you take helps you speak English more fluently. Keep practicing. Stay curious. Enjoy learning. You are doing very well. When you talk about difficult topics, it is important to divide them into small, easy parts. For example, if you want to talk about climate change, do this. You can start by saying, climate change is a serious problem, but we can do things to help. First, let's look at why it happens. This structure makes it easy for the listener to follow your thoughts and ideas. More ways to speak well. 1. Use comparisons. It is a good idea to use comparisons and contrasts when you speak. This means you talk about how things are the same or how they are different. This helps you explain your point better. For example, you can talk about work. Some people like to work in a team. They enjoy being with others. But other people prefer to work alone. They like quiet time. Then you can add your opinion. I personally think that working with a team helps me a lot. We have a goal together, and this keeps me motivated. When you compare things, you help your listener understand your thoughts more clearly. 2. Ask for feedback. Asking for feedback is a powerful thing to do. Feedback means asking what the other person thinks about you or your idea. If you are not sure how your words sound, just ask. You can ask, "What do you think about this plan?" Or, "How does that idea sound to you?" This makes the conversation more like a discussion between two people. It also gives you a chance to make your thoughts better right away. 3. Use examples, metaphors. When you talk about difficult or abstract ideas, it is helpful to link them to simple, real things. For example, do not just say, "Today, there is a lot of stress in the world." You can say, "Today, people have too many responsibilities. They are trying to do many things at the same time." Then, use a picture, a metaphor. It is like when you try to keep many plates spinning on sticks. You must balance them all, and you cannot let any fall. Using these pictures or examples makes your message clearer. People will remember it easily. 4. Give advice carefully. When you want to give advice or say what you recommend, use words that show you thought carefully. For instance, if you want to improve your English, you can give advice. I suggest you start with a few steps. First, listen to podcasts. Next, read articles. And finally, practice speaking with different people. You should also say, it is important to use all these skills together to make better progress. 5. Acknowledge other ideas. When you are in a discussion, always acknowledge, show that you see and respect other people's ideas. If someone says, "I think technology makes life easier," you can answer, "I see your point. Yes, it really does make some things more convenient, easier." But then you add your thought, "But we also need to think about our privacy. How does technology affect that?" This way of talking shows respect. It helps you have a more balanced conversation. 6. Share emotions and opinions. It is good to clearly share your feelings and thoughts. This helps you have deeper conversations. For example, you can say, "I feel very excited about the future of technology." Then you can say your worry, "But I also have some concerns about how quickly things are changing." Being open and honest helps other people connect with you and understand your perspective. 7. Be patient and pause. To have the best conversations, you must be patient with yourself. Give yourself time to think. If someone asks a difficult question, do not rush to answer. Instead, pause. You can say, "That is a great question. Let me think about it for a moment." This shows you are taking the conversation seriously It helps you give a better and more thoughtful answer. 8. Focus on rhythm and stress. Try to focus on the natural rhythm of English speech. In English, we use stress and intonation to add meaning to our words. For example, you can say, I can't believe it's already December. If you put stress on the word can't, you show that you are very surprised. Pay attention to these small details. They will make your speech sound more fluent and more natural. 9. Use qualifiers for difficult topics. When you talk about more difficult topics, use qualifiers. Qualifiers are words that make your idea less strong or more careful. This makes your argument more nuanced. For example, do not say, this is the best solution. Say, this might be one of the best solutions, but there are other solutions, ideas, etc. to think about too. Remember, advanced conversations often involve challenging issues. It is okay to feel unsure sometimes. The more you practice discussing these complex topics, the more comfortable you will feel. Keep going, keep practicing, and you will make great progress. The final part of your text is about to be rewritten in simpler English, a 2 level, with more details. Final tips for better conversations. 1. Show different views. Using qualifiers, like might be one of the best, shows that you consider different possibilities. You do not think there is only one right answer. This is a key skill in good conversations. It shows you respect different perspectives, ways of thinking. 2. Ask open questions. It is helpful to ask open-ended questions. These are questions that cannot be answered with just yes or no. They help the conversation continue and go deeper. For example, do not ask, did you like this movie? That is too simple. Instead, ask, what did you think about the people in the movie? The character development. Open questions invite the other person to share more detailed ideas. 3. Repeat what you hear. Paraphrase. Sometimes when people talk about difficult topics, they use hard words, jargon. It is easy to get lost and not understand. You can use a technique called paraphrasing. This means you repeat what you heard in your own simple words. This helps you make sure everyone understands the same thing. You can say, so, if I understand correctly, you are saying that people's actions are affecting the environment? And this is causing long-term changes? Is that right? This helps to check and confirm what the person said. 4. Use linking words for cause and effect. In good conversations, it is very important to use linking words. They make your ideas flow smoothly and make sense, especially when you talk about cause and effect, why something happens and what the result is. You can say, because of the fast change in technology, many jobs are now done by computers, automated. Then say the result. As a result, people have to learn new skills for their new jobs. Words like because, as a result, and therefore help your speech sound organized and are easier to follow. 5. Listen carefully. Remember, good conversation is not only about speaking, it is also about actively listening. Listening carefully is the key to giving the right answer. If someone shares a complex idea, you can show you listened by replying like this. I agree with your idea that we need more clean energy, renewable energy, but I also think we need to look at the problems, like how much it costs and how we will build it. Implementation. This answer shows you are listening, thinking, and adding to the discussion. 6. Give and get feedback. Good conversations often include giving and receiving helpful feedback. If someone gives an idea, do not just say yes or no. Try to ask more questions. Can you explain more about why you think that? Or, how would you suggest we can do that idea? This makes the conversation more productive and leads to better ideas. More ways to have good conversations. 1. Share personal experiences. Do not be shy. It is good to share things that happen to you. For example, you can say, in my experience, when I work with a team, we get better results. This is because we can share different ideas. When you tell personal stories, you add a human feeling to your words. This makes the conversation more interesting and easy for others to relate to, understand. 2. Talk about future results. A powerful way to speak is to talk about what might happen later, potential outcomes. This shows you think about the future. For example, if we decide to focus on using clean energy, renewable energy, we can reduce bad air, our carbon footprint. But you should add, however, it might take some time before we see the good results. This technique shows you are thinking long term. You consider what a decision means for the future. 3. Stay on topic. It is important to stay on the main topic of the conversation. This keeps the talk moving smoothly. If someone starts talking about something else, it is okay to gently bring the talk back. You can say, that is an interesting point, but let's go back to our discussion about sustainability, keeping things good for the future. This keeps the conversation focused. It helps everyone talk deeply about the main subject. 4. Ask for clarity. Do not be afraid to say you are unsure or to ask for clarification. In hard conversations, it is important to make sure everyone understands. You can say, I am not sure I fully understand your idea about economic policy, money rules. Could you explain that part a little more? This shows you are involved. You are trying hard to understand clearly. 5. Use conditional sentences. You can use conditional sentences to talk about things that could happen or imaginary situations. Hypothetical. For example, if I were in charge, I would focus more on teaching, education. Or, if we continue doing this fast, we might face serious problems. Conditional sentences help you talk about possible scenarios. They add depth to your thoughts. 6. Handle disagreement kindly. It is normal to have different opinions. When you disagree, handle it with tact, kindness, and care. Do not just say the other person is wrong. You can say, I see why you think that way, but I believe there is another part to think about. Or, that is an interesting way to see it, but I have a different opinion. This shows respect for the other person while you still share your own idea. 7. Show empathy, understanding. Showing empathy and understanding makes your communication stronger. Empathy means you feel what the other person is feeling. If someone talks about a difficult time, you can say, that sounds tough. I can understand why you feel that way. Or, it must have been very challenging to deal with that situation. When you acknowledge their feelings, you create a more meaningful conversation. 8. Summarize and conclude. After a long discussion, it is helpful to summarize, give a short overview, the main points. This makes everything clear. You can say, to sum up, we agree that there are many ways to fix this problem, and we need to think carefully about all of them. Summarizing helps you solidify your understanding. It also shows you are paying close attention. 9. Vary language style. It is important to use different ways of speaking. This depends on who you are talking to. For example, in a job interview, you should use more formal language. But when you talk to a friend, you can use more relaxed, informal expressions. You change your words based on the situation. 10. Challenge ideas and use evidence. In good talks, you should challenge ideas and introduce new concepts. You can ask, but what if we looked at this from a different angle? Or, have you thought about the long-term result of this decision? This makes everyone think critically and explore the topic deeper. If you are talking about a serious topic like climate change, you must support your opinion with facts or strong examples. This makes your argument stronger. For example, you can say, experts agree that the amount of pollution, carbon emissions, has grown quickly in recent years. This means we must act very fast. Giving examples or facts makes your words more convincing. People will listen to you more seriously because you sound like an expert. abstract ideas, and real life. Good conversations sometimes talk about ideas that are hard to see, abstract concepts. To help people understand, it is good to link these ideas to real life. For example, if you talk about good behavior in business, ethics, you can say, I think companies that do the right thing often have better relationships with their customers. These good relationships last for a very long time. Know when to stop talking. In good conversations, timing is very important. You must know when to stop talking and when to let others speak. When you leave a moment of silence, it allows others to answer you. This helps to create a balanced conversation. Everyone will feel heard and respected. By using these ideas, you will communicate better and more confidently. Make people think. A great idea is to use rhetorical questions. You ask these questions not because you need an answer, but to make people think deeply about your point. For example, you can ask, how can we just ignore the effects of pollution when we see the dirt all around us? Or, what will happen if we all stop caring about the environment? This helps to get people's attention and makes them reflect, think deeply. Be direct. It is important to be clear and direct with your ideas. Do not go around in circles. Focus on making your main point stand out. Do not say, well, I guess it is probably a good idea to think more about this. Instead, say, it is important that we solve this problem now, because it will have big effects in the future. Clear communication helps people understand and respect your ideas. Smooth topic changes. You need to change topics smoothly when you talk. You can use phrases that help you move from one subject to the next without stopping. You can say, that is an interesting point, but let's think about a different part of this issue now. Or, speaking of that topic, have you thought about how this will change the future? These transition words make the conversation flow naturally. Use complex phrases, idioms. To sound more like a native speaker, you should use idioms. Fixed phrases. They add personality to your speech. For example, you can say, the ball is in your court now, meaning it is your job to act next. Or, we need to get the ball rolling on this new project, meaning we need to start this project right away. Keep a respectful tone. When you talk about serious things, like politics or personal beliefs, you must use a calm and respectful tone. You can start by saying, I know that this is a sensitive subject, but I would like to share my opinion. Or, it is a difficult issue, but this is how I see the problem. This approach helps you keep a respectful conversation even when the topic is hard. Stay calm when challenged. Sometimes people will question your ideas. You must stay calm and in control. Do not get angry. Respond with phrases like, that's a fair question. Let me tell you why I think that. Last tips for advanced talks. 1. Respond calmly to challenges. When someone says something that challenges your idea, you must stay calm and answer politely. Do not immediately shut down their idea. You can say, that is an interesting view, but let me explain why my thinking is different. Or, I like your point, but here is some information that might make you think differently. This way, you answer strongly, but keep the conversation respectful. The discussion stays constructive, helpful. 2. Ask questions for deep talks. It is important to ask open-ended questions. These questions encourage deep discussions. Do not ask a simple yes or no question. Ask things like, what do you think are the main problems we will face in the next 10 years? Or, how do you believe this change will affect our economy? These questions make people give longer answers. They help you have a more thoughtful and interesting conversation. 3. Use formal language at work. When you are in professional places or formal settings, you must use polite language. This shows respect. For example, you can say, may I suggest that we look at this option more? Or, could we think about a different way to solve this problem? Using polite language shows respect. It keeps the conversation focused and productive. Successful. 4. Illustrate with examples. When you explain hard ideas, it is very helpful to use real examples. This makes your points clear. For instance, if you talk about technology in school, you can say, for example, many schools now use big computer screens, interactive whiteboards. This has changed the way students learn and engage with the lesson. Using examples makes your idea clearer. People can understand it better, especially when you talk about abstract ideas. 5. Tone and body language. As you get more confident, you must understand the small signals you send. This includes your tone of voice and how you move your body language. Much of communication is nonverbal, without words. For instance, if you talk about something good, you should smile and use a light tone. If the topic is serious, your tone and body language should be more serious. This helps people understand how important the topic is. 6. Cultural differences. Be aware of cultural differences. This is very important if you talk to people from other countries. Different cultures may understand words or ideas in different ways. For example, in some cultures, people like direct talking. They get straight to the point. But in other cultures, people prefer an indirect way of speaking. Being culturally sensitive helps you avoid mistakes and communicate more effectively. You will not offend anyone by accident. More advanced conversation skills. Continued. 1. Think critically. In good English talks, it is important to think deeply, critically. You may be asked to judge information or to present your thoughts. So, it is key to be able to think carefully about what you hear or read. Practice checking if statements are true. Look at both sides of any problem, and create opinions that are balanced and complete. When you do this, your conversations will be more insightful and have a bigger impact. 2. Handle interruptions smoothly. It is common in fast conversations for someone to interrupt you or jump in with their own ideas. Do not get angry or lose your thought. Practice staying calm and going back to where you stopped. You can say, "I understand your point, but let me finish what I was saying." Or, "That is a great idea, and I will talk about it very soon." This helps the conversation flow nicely, even with these small stops. 3. Use hedging, soft language. When you talk about difficult topics, use hedging techniques. This helps you express uncertainty or caution. It makes your thoughts sound more balanced. For example, do not say, "This will absolutely happen." Instead, say, "There is a strong chance this could happen," or "It looks likely that this will happen." Hedging makes your statements softer. They sound more thoughtful and less extreme. 4. Illustrate with examples. It is a very important strategy to use examples and real-life scenarios. When you explain difficult ideas, show them with a clear example. If you talk about technology in school, you can say, for example, many schools now use big electronic boards. These have totally changed the way students learn and pay attention to the material. Using examples makes your idea clearer. It is easier to understand when you talk about abstract ideas. 5. Body language and tone. You must understand your tone of voice and body language. In face-to-face talks, most of what we say is without words. If you talk about something good, you should smile and keep your tone light and happy. If the topic is very serious, a serious tone and calm body language help show the importance of the situation. 6. Cultural awareness. Being aware of different cultures will greatly improve your talks, especially with people from other countries. People from different places may understand phrases in unique ways. Knowing these differences will help you avoid problems and misunderstandings. For example, in some cultures, people like talking very directly. In other cultures, people prefer a gentler, indirect way of speaking. Being sensitive to culture helps you communicate better and avoid offending someone by accident. Last thoughts on speaking better. Respect cultural differences. It is important to be aware of different cultures. This helps you communicate better and avoid offending someone by accident. For example, in some countries, people like to talk very directly. They say what they mean clearly and fast. But in other countries, people prefer to speak in a gentler way. They are more indirect. Understanding these different ways of talking is key. Think critically about ideas. In good English conversations, you must think deeply about what you hear. You may need to judge information or present your ideas. So, thinking carefully about what you read or hear is key. Practice checking if statements are true. Look at both sides of any problem and form opinions that are balanced and complete. When you do this, your conversations will be more insightful and have a bigger impact. Handle interruptions. Well, in fast discussions, people often interrupt you. They jump in quickly with their own thoughts. Do not get frustrated. Practice staying calm and going back to your thought. You can say, I understand your point, but let me finish what I was saying. Or, that is a great idea and I will talk about it soon. This helps the conversation flow nicely even with these small stops. Use hedging. Soft language. When you talk about difficult topics, use words that show uncertainty or caution. This makes your opinions sound more balanced. For example, do not say, this will absolutely happen. Instead, say, there is a strong possibility this could happen. Or, it looks likely that this will happen. This kind of language makes your statements softer. They sound more thoughtful and less extreme. Use tone and emotion. Your tone of voice can totally change the meaning of your message. For instance, saying, I cannot believe this is happening, with a happy, excited voice means something different. Saying the same words with a frustrated voice means something else. Learn to use your tone effectively to show exactly how you feel. Do not fear mistakes. Remember that making mistakes is normal. Even people who speak English well make mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. No one expects you to speak perfectly all the time. What is most important is that you keep practicing. Keep having conversations and try to improve. Every conversation is a chance to learn and become a better speaker. Learn new vocabulary. Learning new words and phrases is important. It helps you express yourself clearly and exactly. When you know more words, look for synonyms, words that mean the same thing. For example, instead of saying I think every time, you can say, in my opinion, or from my perspective, or I believe. These different ways of speaking keep the conversation dynamic, moving, and show you know the language well. Use humor carefully. Using humor can lighten the mood and build connections with people. It can be a great tool. However, humor can be tricky because jokes change across cultures. If you are not sure if something is funny, it is safest to use light-hearted comments. Over time, you will learn how to use humor in different situations and with different people. Practice debating. Debating is an excellent way to practice your speaking skills. It forces you to form clear arguments and handle different views. You can practice debating about many topics like environmental issues or new technology. This will help your English and also improve your thinking and persuasion skills. Practice storytelling. Another great strategy is to practice telling stories. Telling a story, whether it is about yourself or imaginary, forces you to use a variety of tenses and different words. By practicing this, you can learn how to keep your listener engaged and share detailed descriptions. Last ideas for speaking better. English. Tell stories with detail. Telling a story is a very important skill for keeping talks interesting. This is especially true when you are talking about difficult ideas. When you give a lot of clear details in your story, people want to listen more. Immerse yourself in English. A great way to improve how easily you speak, fluency, is to have language immersion. This means you surround yourself with English. Maybe you cannot live in an English-speaking country right now. That is okay. You can still read English books, watch TV shows, and listen to podcasts, all in English. Having the language all around you will help you get more comfortable with different accents and different ways of speaking. Organize your thoughts. As you progress with your English, pay attention to formal ways of talking. This is important for things like business meetings, academic discussions, or job interviews. Being able to express your ideas formally and clearly is a key skill. One good technique is to organize your thoughts before you start speaking. You can think in your head about the main points you want to cover. This helps you make sure your answers are organized, clear, and direct. Practice pronunciation. Do not forget about pronunciation. Even if you know many words and have good grammar, unclear pronunciation can stop you from being understood. Focus on practicing sounds that are difficult for you. Also, practice stress patterns, which part of the word is louder, and intonation, how your voice goes up and down. You can use online help or copy the way native speakers talk in videos to get better. Use role-playing exercises are an effective way to practice. This means you pretend to be in a real situation, like ordering food or having a job interview. Role-playing helps you feel more confident in different situations. It also improves your ability to answer quickly and in the right way. You can practice this with a friend, a teacher, or even in front of a mirror. Manage your emotions. It is helpful to notice how you feel when you are in a conversation. Understanding how to control your emotions and stay calm, even when under pressure, will help you keep control of the talk. It is normal to feel nervous when you talk about difficult or new topics, but managing these feelings helps you stay focused and speak your thoughts clearly. Keep practicing consistently. Remember that reaching a high level of speaking ability takes time and hard work. It may seem overwhelming sometimes, but every step you take brings you closer to your goal. If you keep a regular routine of practice through talking, listening to podcasts, or watching movies, you will notice that you can understand and participate in even the most advanced talks easily. Stay motivated and do not be afraid to challenge yourself. Mistakes are normal. It is essential to understand that making mistakes is part of learning. People who speak English very well sometimes worry about making errors in grammar or pronunciation. However, mistakes are a natural part of language learning. Mistakes mean you are learning. Making mistakes is actually a sign that you are pushing yourself to use the language in better, more complex ways. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. Welcome them as chances to learn and grow. Every time you make an error, you get an opportunity to improve for the next time you speak. Listen to many voices. To improve your speaking, you must also focus on your listening skills. The more you listen to English in different situations, the better you will understand different ways of speaking and accents. Listen to many people from many different places. This helps you understand small differences in the language, like local words, slang, and common phrases. Practice by listening to podcasts, watching the news, or following people online who speak English. Challenge yourself. If you ever feel like you are stuck at the same level, it is helpful to set new challenges. Try to have conversations about difficult topics that you usually do not discuss, such as philosophy, politics, or money matters, economics. This will force your vocabulary and understanding to grow. You should also look for chances to speak with native English speakers. You can do this in person or online. Native speakers often use idioms, fixed phrases, and cultural references that will help you understand the language more naturally. Improve listening deeply. As you get better at speaking, it is also important to work on truly understanding spoken English. Being able to fully understand fast English or complex sentences requires focused practice. One good technique is to listen to a video without any words on the screen, subtitles, first. Then, listen to it again with the words to check if you understood everything. This method helps both your listening and reading. Confidence is key. Remember that your confidence will grow as you constantly challenge yourself with harder conversations. Confidence is very important at a high level because it lets you speak more naturally and easily. It is easy to feel discouraged when a discussion is complex. But the key is to keep practicing, stay patient, and trust that with enough time, your speaking will improve. Learn what you love. One final piece of advice: engage with English media that interests you. If you enjoy sports, watch games or interviews in English. If you like cooking, look for cooking shows in English. The more the topics fit your interests, the more enjoyable and motivating the learning process becomes. Mimic native speakers. A powerful way to improve both speaking and listening is by copying the way native speakers talk. Try a technique called shadowing. You repeat what you hear right after the speaker says it. This helps you with pronunciation, rhythm, and the natural flow of English. Remember, the goal is not only to speak English well, but to feel comfortable and confident in any situation. Keep practicing, stay curious, and know that with consistent effort, fluent speaking is always possible for you. Copy the rhythm of English. This shadowing technique, repeating what you hear, is a vital skill for keeping talks interesting. You can practice this with podcasts, TV shows, or even short educational talks, like TED Talks. Listening to many different kinds of content, from simple conversations to professional debates, will show you many different ways of speaking and tones of voice. Have real-time conversations. It is also very helpful to talk to people right now, in real time. Online language exchange platforms are a great way to connect with people who speak English as their first language. These platforms let you practice speaking in a relaxed setting. You can ask questions and get help right away. Many of these places let you talk about specific themes. This helps you focus on the language parts where you do not feel very confident. Think in English. If you are trying to speak more easily, fluently, try to think in English all day long. For example, when you make a list for the store or decide what to eat, do it in English in your head. This method reduces the pressure you feel when you speak out loud. It helps your mind get used to forming thoughts in English all the time. Listen actively. Another strong tool to improve listening is to listen actively. This means you listen with the goal of understanding the main message and the situation context. Do not just focus on every single word. When you listen actively, you train yourself to catch the main ideas. You learn to follow the talk even if you miss a few words. This is an essential skill because native speakers often speak quickly, and you need to understand the overall meaning. Expand your words and grammar. It is important to learn more words and advanced grammar rules. The more words and phrases you know, the easier it will be to understand and participate in conversations. Do not just memorize new words. Try to use them right away. Write sentences, create your own short stories, or use them when you talk to remember their meaning better. Building this collection of words will help you speak with great accuracy and richness. Be consistent. As you keep practicing, remember that doing it regularly is key. Set aside time every day to listen, speak, and practice your English. Even if it is just for a short amount of time, doing it consistently will have a big effect on your progress. Over time, you will notice improvements in how well you understand, how easily you speak, and how well you can talk about difficult topics. Track your progress. It is also helpful to track how far you have come. Recording yourself speaking in English is a great way to watch your progress. When you listen to old recordings, you will notice improvements in how you pronounce words, how easily you speak, and how confident you are. This is a rewarding way to see real progress over time. Talk to native speakers. Talking to native English speakers is especially good for you. It shows you real-world language and helps you learn current local expressions, slang, fixed phrases, and cultural ideas. This will help you not just speak correctly, but also speak in a natural and engaging way. Keep your goals clear. Lastly, keep your goals simple and clear. Aim for steady improvement and do not expect to be perfect right away. Remember that learning a language is a long journey, and every conversation is a chance to improve and get more confidence. Maria's story. Practice makes a difference. Let me share a story to show you how regular practice can change things a lot. A few years ago, I had a student named Maria. She was struggling to keep up with fast conversations in English. She often felt overwhelmed in meetings and with friends because she could not catch every word. Even though she had good grammar and many words, she lacked confidence when she talked in real life. One day, Maria told me she had tried listening to podcasts, but she could not understand much. So, I suggested a different way. Instead of trying to understand every single word, I told her to listen for the main ideas. I told her to focus on the patterns in native speech. I also showed her shadowing exercises, where she would repeat short parts from her favorite podcasts right after the speaker. At first, Maria did not like it. It felt unnatural to copy the speakers, and she worried she would not sound authentic. But I told her, it is not about being perfect. It is about getting better at speaking easily and understanding different patterns of talk. Slowly, she started to feel more comfortable. She even enjoyed repeating the phrases. Soon after, Maria noticed that she was catching more of the conversation every day. The practice had helped her tune her ear to the rhythm and flow of the language. She also started practicing with a language exchange partner. At first, she found it scary to speak with a native speaker because she feared making mistakes. But with time, she became more relaxed. She was able to have deeper, more natural conversations. Maria started using the new phrases and words she learned from podcasts. Soon she was not just understanding conversations, she was participating in them confidently. Just a few months later, Maria was leading her team's weekly meetings in English. She was explaining complex ideas clearly and confidently. Her coworkers even said that her communication had improved so much. The combination of listening practice, shadowing, and real conversations had made a huge difference. Maria's story shows how listening and speaking practice can help you overcome hard challenges and gain easy fluency in English. Take inspiration from her journey. With consistent practice, patience, and the right strategies, you will start to notice the improvement in your own conversations too. Maria's journey did not stop there. Once she felt more confident at work, she started using her skills in social situations. She began going to local meetings and making small talk with native speakers. At first, it felt a little awkward, those moments when you do not know how to start or continue a talk. But Maria kept practicing. Maria had just watched. The people were talking about surprising plot twists and how the people in the movie changed, character development. Before Maria even realized it, she was sharing her thoughts without stopping to think. She was using the new words she had learned. More importantly, she was not afraid to speak, even when she was not totally sure about every word. What made this moment so important was that Maria understood she was no longer translating from her first language. She was thinking directly in English. Her ability to speak easily, fluency, had grown so much that English became her natural way to communicate. This shift from translating to thinking in English was the breakthrough moment she had been waiting for. This story shows that speaking easily is not just about knowing many words or grammar rules. It is about feeling confident to speak, taking risks, and using the language in real life. So, if you struggle to understand or speak easily, remember Maria's story. Keep pushing forward with small, regular steps. Try shadowing, copying speakers. Focus on understanding the big idea in conversations, and do not be afraid to make mistakes. Every conversation is a chance to learn and grow. Maria's confidence grows. Maria's journey continued. She kept facing challenges, but with every conversation, she grew stronger. One evening, she had a very memorable experience. Maria was at a dinner party with her coworkers. The talk moved to traveling. At first, she felt nervous. She had never been good at describing her trips with many details. But this time, something was different. Maria had spent many months practicing her fluency. She spoke with native speakers, listened to podcasts, and used her exchange partner. As she listened to others talk about their trips, she felt more ready to join in. Her heart was beating fast, but she took a deep breath and started talking about her trip to the mountains. She described the beautiful view, the fresh air, and the new things she had done. She used strong words she had just learned, like majestic, breathtaking, and serene. As she spoke, she felt herself becoming more confident. She realized that speaking English was no longer a struggle. It was becoming a natural part of her life. What amazed her was that her new skills helped her not only connect with others, but also express her thoughts much clearer. This moment was a turning point for Maria. She understood that being able to speak easily was not about knowing every word. It was about feeling comfortable using the language to connect with people and share her experiences. She looked around the table and saw that the other guests were listening closely. They were asking her more questions. She was truly part of the discussion, just like everyone else. The main idea. Reflecting on her journey, Maria thought about the times when she felt lost and frustrated. But now she saw how much she had achieved. She learned that fluency is not a final stop, it is a process. Every conversation, whether at work or with friends, helped her build on what she already knew. So, what is the key lesson from Maria's story? Fluency comes with time, practice, and the courage to try hard things. Even if you do not understand everything at first, do not let that stop you. Keep pushing forward. Use English in real life. Take risks, and do not be afraid to make mistakes. The more you use English, through podcasts, socializing, or watching movies, the better you will get. It is important to know that fluency is not just about speaking perfectly. It is about understanding, talking, and growing with the language. Keep moving forward. Soon enough, you will be confidently engaging in conversations